Hi, everyone. Welcome to Taking the Lead Live. We're live today. I am so grateful that you're here. We've done live casts before. Usually it's with guests, it's around an hour or so. But this is my first solo live cast, so I'm particularly grateful to have you here. This one's only going to be around 15 minutes or so, but we'll stay as long as we need to answer your questions. If you have questions, please put them in the Facebook business page if you're watching there, or LinkedIn, and we'll get to your questions at the end. I want to welcome two folks that I know are already watching, Nick Hennon and Sharon Fester. So thank you for that. And let's dig into today's topic. For the past month and for the next few months, I've been discussing this topic, which is this notion of things leaders can do to evolve their leadership style so your teams and others will follow you through any uncertainty. So, this is part two. And, I feel like we've been living in uncertain times for the last 2.5 years. And for me, the only certainty is that the uncertainty will continue, though it's going to be different kinds of uncertainty. Um, so uncertainty is a constant, but I'm also certain that all of you have the ability to lead. Hello, Susan Vernon Devlin, my fellow world traveler. I'm certain that each of you have the ability to evolve your leadership style and so that people will follow you through any uncertainty. Proof of that, you're here. So thank you. If you were watching in August, we did a solo taking the lead on video. It was part one. We discussed empathy, something that's not always understood, but talked about a lot today. We discussed the pitfalls of perfectionism, and we talked about setting high standards for your own leadership. And if you're interested in seeing part one, you can find it on YouTube in our Jacobs Consulting and Executive Coaching YouTube channel or on the website. So today we're going to discuss three more important points related to all this. Number one, dialing up your emotional intelligence. Number two, knowing that energy is reciprocal, and the idea of being more transparent. Welcome to Bob Varatoni, great communications guy, great photographer, New York Mets fan. Anyway, all right, let's talk about dialing up your emotional intelligence. I got to tell you, I think this might be the most important thing you can do as a leader to lead your teams through uncertainty so that they'll want to follow you. You know, we throw the word around a lot, the words emotional intelligence, like empathy, but what does it really mean? So I'll tell you. And I'm going to use the Gottman Institute's definition. I think of the Gottman Institute as a leadership think tank. If you want to enhance your leadership skills, check them out. But I'm going to use their definition and I'm going to read it to you because it's their definition and I want to get it right. Number one, to accurately perceive your own and others' emotions. Very important. I hope you'll agree. Number two, to understand the signals that emotions send about relationships. And number three, to manage your own and others' emotions. Now, in this, I disagree a bit with the Gottman Institute. Yes, I think you should learn how to manage your own emotions. I don't know that we should manage others' emotions. I think it's a slippery slope. So I'll agree on 2.5 of the Gottman Institute's definition. But let me tell you how real emotional intelligence is, how real, how powerful it is if you want to improve as a leader who will be followed. It's backed up by studies. Harvard Business School, they did a study and they looked at leaders who were uber leaders, who were so effective, who achieved beyond their goals. And more important, their teams achieve beyond their goals. That's what leadership is, after all, isn't it? So they looked at those uber leaders versus their peers who were just leaders, okay leaders. And you know what the big difference was? It wasn't data, it wasn't information, it wasn't tech skills, it was emotional intelligence. And the gap was like 90%. That is huge. Google did a study. Google, where you'd think it's all about knowledge and information and data, they did a study of their own, again, what I call uber leaders, super effective leaders, and what made them different in their performance from their peers who had similar knowledge and information skills. Emotional intelligence. It is simply too big a number, too big a topic, a skill to ignore. If you want to be a more effective leader for uncertain times, you've just got to increase your emotional intelligence. But let's make it easy for you. How do you do it? Best way to get started, I would recommend buying this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Bradbury and Greaves. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Please let me assure you, I have no relationship with the authors, no affiliation. It's just so powerful. I share it in all my training sessions. When you buy it, there's a code in the back. You take the free assessment and you get your scores in 4 emotional intelligence quadrants, also important. And I think if you're like most people, you'll find, hey, maybe you're doing well in 2 of the quadrants. There's one where you have some watch outs, and then there's one which is a major watch out, one quadrant. You really need to do better in that area. It's the one quad that's holding you back. But here's the good news. In both the book and in your printout, you get such practical steps on how to improve your emotional intelligence in all the quadrants, but especially your one problematic quadrant. Let's call it that. Here's something so I looked at mine. It was absolutely accurate. The steps are so practical. And here's the good news. In preparing my content for these series of workshops about how to lead through uncertainty, I reread the book and I saw something I missed the first time. When you get it and you take it, you can take it twice. You can take, so like it's been 2 or 3 years since I took it last time. As a coach, I've been doing the internal work, and I'm so excited to tell you that when I took it the second time, not only did all my scores go up, but in particular, my score in my danger quadrant, in my watch out quadrant, really went up substantially. So I love the idea that we can do better at this, and we can. So that's number 1, emotional intelligence, EI. Number 2, know that energy is reciprocal. You know, and when I talk about energy, many of you know I'm an energy leadership coach. We use the Energy Leadership Index, the ELI, in our work. And but one definition of leadership for me is when you use your leadership energy, your leadership influence. And yes, I used the word in the definition. You're not supposed to, so forgive me. But when you use that leadership energy and leadership influence to get the desired outcomes, the best outcomes for your organization, for your team members, for your peers, your clients, for your stakeholders, and for yourself, and for your boss if you have one. And almost everybody's got a boss. Even CEOs have bosses, right? That's the definition of leadership for me. And when you use that definition, that means anyone can be a leader, regardless of title, because you have the opportunity to have an impact on all those people. So by definition, you are leading your teams, your clients, your partners, if you have them, your peers, your stakeholders. Your leadership energy affects every single group I just mentioned. So good news, bad word choice, is that energy, positivity, optimism, and mindset are contagious. That's the bad word. contagious for nowadays. If you've seen this ongoing environment for these 2.5 or so years, if you see them as challenging, you will feel challenged and your team will feel challenged. That may not be what you want. If instead you have chosen to see these times, or you choose to see these times as uncertain, well, that's a step up from challenge, right? And if you see it as uncertain because it's contagious, so will your teams. But how about this? What if you see opportunity in everything that may be coming your way? A lot of leaders I know, a lot of organizations I know, in particular, PR, advertising, marketing agencies that I know, and their leaders, they've seen opportunity in the last few years, not to take advantage of the pandemic in a negative way, but many of them changed the industries they served. Many of them changed their service offering, their practice areas, and they got through a lot of this great, really great. So if you emit an energy of we're all in this together, and together we will get through all of this, it will absolutely permeate your organization. So let me sum it up for you. When it comes to energy and mindset, you give what you get. No, you get what you give. You get what you give. So why not give what you want? Why not give what you want? Yes, Nick, that's when infectious isn't a bad word. And Susan, every crisis can be an opportunity. It's all about our mindset. Okay, let's move on to our third point, the idea of being transparent. Now, I have known for years that companies, organizations, and leaders who are more transparent drive very specific, measurable, palpable benefits. I sensed it, but it was before the time of bookmarking and favoriting, right? So to prepare for these presentations, it got me to really sit down and do the research. I am so glad I did. And, let me say, if you're already being transparent about everything, including the numbers, well, maybe not your salary. You may not want to share that. I get that. But your team members are all sharing their salaries with one another. You just got to know that. But if you're being transparent, I encourage you to keep doing so. Now, if, like I was back when I was in PR agency management and leadership, if you were fearful about this, the next points really may change your mind. So please approach them with an open mind. So, just a couple of data points. This is from Najan Rout, the founder of Hiver, and he has researched and found that being more transparent delivers three key benefits. Three key benefits. Are we ready? Number one, leads to greater trust. Number two, it fosters a more collaborative workplace. And number three, it improves employee engagement. I don't even need to ask you all to raise your hands. I am 100% confident that everyone in this live cast wants more trust in their organization. I know they want a more collaborative workplace. I know they want greater employee engagement. That's what being more transparent will do, and there's research behind it. Now, let me give you some more benefits of being transparent, of being a transparent leader. This is from the Neuro Leadership Institute. It is a highly respected leadership institute, which is all about how we use the brains and neuroscience for greater effectiveness in coaching and in leading others. Here's three things that they talk about. Three will sound familiar. One I think is going to blow your socks off. It boosts employee engagement and performance. Well, that's kind of similar. You're going to be seen as more trustworthy and effective. Pretty good. And it is the most significant predictor of employee happiness. Being transparent, being a transparent leader is the most significant predictor of employee happiness. That's not even the surprising point. Here's the surprising point. Many of us risk transparency, and I did, especially around fiscals, especially around bad news, because we worry that we will worry our teams. But I've always said worry and fear are not really good leadership strategies, right? So, what may surprise you, again, according to the Neuro Leadership Institute, is that when leaders share information, when they reveal the reasons behind their decisions, when they express their true feelings and even vulnerabilities, but I'll add, but not fear, we'll discuss fear another day, um, it instills a sense of psychological safety. May I say that again? It's that important. When leaders share information, reveal the reasons behind their decisions, express their true feelings and vulnerabilities, it instills a sense of psychological safety. Who would have thought it? So, put very positively, don't all your people need more psychological safety? After the last 2.5 years, I've got to think that. I've got to think they crave it, and you can give it to them. Oh, and one other thing, when you instill that sense of psychological safety, um, it boosts creativity. It boosts creativity, and I know many of our folks watching this today need to boost the creativity of their people. So there are just so many countless benefits. One last thought as we head towards wrapping up. This is from Dan Perucci of Bamboo HR. Two more benefits of transparency by the leadership. It drives improved customer relations. For some reason, companies that are transparent and have transparent leader have better customer relations. And I think in the PR world, we can easily translate that into client relations. Who doesn't want improved client relations? And this one may surprise you, an improved bottom line. Yes, if you become a more transparent leader, it can create an improved bottom line. So, yes, Sharon, it does take courage to be a transparent leader. So, before we wrap up, we're happy to take your questions. I'll look in the queue and I will state your question for everyone, and then we'll answer it. So, any questions? Here's your chance to ask me about leadership, but especially on the topics we've discussed today, especially about leading through uncertainty, so that your teams will follow you. They'll follow you through any uncertainty. I think we might say going once, going twice. If there are no questions, and don't forget, you can always, we've got a question coming from Trish Nicholas of Spy Group. I think we've got a question coming from Trish Nicholas of Spy Group. We'll give Trish a few more seconds to write the question. Okay, while we wait, Sharon Fenster, what's the problem with fear? And it goes back to courage. Courageous leaders are magnetic. They are literally attractive to their followers, or followers are attracted to courageous leaders. So we don't like to follow. We don't follow leaders who have any fear or uncertainty. It creates sort of a dissonance. We don't want to follow them. So if we share the fear, we're, in my experience, decreasing followership rather than increasing it. I'll share a little anecdote. my good buddy, many of you know him, Steve Cody. If you see his comments on LinkedIn and Facebook, he's always making fun of my outfit. I hope he approves the black T-shirt today. But he's the leader of Peppercom, which is now part of Reuter Finn. And many years ago, 2008, when there was the Great Depression, so to speak, the Great Recession, whatever you want to call it, he had 3 phone calls within a day from 3 valued clients, big clients, and the script was the same. Steve, we love you. We love Peppercom. We love the people heading our account. We love the results. And we have to freeze the account with everything going on. We've lost our budget and we're so sorry. 3 calls in one day. Talk about the perfect storm, right? And Steve just decided that if he was going to have any fear, and how could he not have fear, right? He'd share it with his wife. He'd share it with his business partner. He'd share it with his dog, Pepper. That's where Pepper comes from, in case you're wondering. But he would not share the fear with his team. So in his communications, when walking the hallways, in conferences, even in his office space, which had floor-to-ceiling windows so people could see him, he put on his game face, as he always says. And he has told me he feels that's really a critical part of what got them through it. And they did get through it, and they did survive, and then they did thrive. And then so much so that they're now part of Reuter Finn, as is our friends as are our friends at Spy Group. So I don't believe in sharing fear. James, do you ever see when too much transparency can create a blame culture? My instinct is no. I mean, we shouldn't be blaming anyone. Blame shouldn't be part of what we're doing. We should be transparent and saying, here's what's going on as a leader. We should be transparent and always say, look, I may not know what's coming, but here's my vision. Here's what I see coming. And, I need you in the boat with me. And we'll get to the other shore if we're all rowing together. So blame doesn't become part of that ever. Why blame? Blame is going to the past. Leaders should be living, James, in my view, in the present and the future. And if you really want to be courageous, if you really want to be courageous, you say, guys, I'm not really sure, but this is my best bet. This is my strategy. This is the path that I see. This is what the GPS is telling me. And we're going to get in the boat. We're going to row together. And if halfway through or a third or halfway through, we see it's not getting us there, we're smart, we're strategic, we're flexible, we're going to change course, and we're going to get there together. Did Steve write the first part of that script? No, he did not. Believe me, he didn't write the script. He did not want to, if the script is what his client said to him, believe me, the last thing, and that's Larry Thomas, good friend and supporter, that's the last thing he wanted to hear from clients in 2008 and 9. I can promise you that. So no, that is not the case. That's not the script he wanted. If that's the script, you're okay. How do you balance transparency with creating confidence in leadership? Look, I think, and this is Trish's question, which we got to. So thank you, Trish, also of Spy Group, and I'm going to say also a good supporter and friend. I just personally, other than living in courage and never living in fear, I believe in authentic leadership. I believe, and look, everybody has different views on leadership. Some believe in command and control. I don't think that's a form of leadership for our times. But we all know some leaders, there's always exceptions in our industry, in PR agency, that live that way. I don't see it. I believe in servant leadership. I think that's the long-term leadership legacy. I think it's it's the proven method for being an effective leader. So I believe followers follow authentic leaders. And that means being authentic in your courage. That, in my view, means being transparent. and never finding blame. We never look for blame. So that's just my take on things, and I've seen it work. We interview a lot of really people who are profoundly powerful in their leadership on taking the lead. And so many of them talk about courage. So many of them talk through managing their fear, and that inspires others. So many of them talk about being authentic. So I think we have a lot of evidence that that is what works. Nick, what is the single biggest challenge for leaders today? I'm going to say there's so many, but I do think it's leading through uncertainty. I think it's being prepared for uncertainty. I think it's the ability to accept uncertainty. And I may be previewing a little what we're going to talk about in our October solo taking the lead, but I hope that's okay. But I think, in addition to the 3 points we've raised today, know that more uncertainty is coming, expect it, know that you are capable of dealing with it, build in you the ability to go with the flow. And when uncertainty or change happens, don't just say, I'm going to make life and business gave me lemons, I'll make lemonade. You can go beyond that. You can be intellectually curious and say, wow, son of a gun, I was not expecting that. But there's opportunity here. What is the opportunity here? And something I always encourage my leadership coaching clients to do, and in leadership training, is to say, what do I want to do about that now? What do I want to do about that right now? With the emphasis on I. I'm the leader. Do, active verb, not overthink it, not overwork, do right now, in this moment. And I think if you build those skills, Nick, or focus on them, I mean, that's why we call this program How to Lead Through Any Uncertainty, because I can't predict what the uncertainties will be, but we can learn to be better with uncertainty. We're happy to take more questions if we have them. And I hope I answered the questions we got. If I missed any, please put in the comment. Ken, scroll up. Go to my question. Thank you, Nick, for your comment. I'll read. I hope it's okay. I'll read what Nick said. When uncertainty happens, get intellectually curious. Open my eyes. Ooh, I didn't use that language. I love that. Open my eyes for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, Ken, he said. And thank you, Nick, for letting me know we're on to something. All right, we're going to take one. I think let's look for one more question. And if not, we'll wrap up. And as we said 15 minutes ago, going once, going twice. All right. So to recap, thank you, Susan. To recap, today we've discussed dialing up your emotional intelligence, knowing that energy is reciprocal, and being more transparent. Those are the three. We will be having one of our usual solo videos in October with the 3 or 4 remaining points. Let me offer you this as a thank you. Oh, hi, Heather Norian. I'm glad you're here. Also of Spy Group. If you need any support or empowerment in any of these things we've talked about today, please email me at ken@jacobscom.com. That's KEN@JACOBSCOMM.com. We're happy to do a complimentary hour to explore how you can apply what we've discussed today, to explore any area that you've seen in any of our videotapes or Zoom podcasts, or if you have any other leadership issues or opportunity areas where we can give you some help, Or if you have a senior person on your team and you want to offer that to them, I am happy to offer to you on a complimentary basis. And you may be surprised at what we can do working together in an hour. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Bill Gibbons. Thank you, Tara Kozak Lindsay. So let's say thank you so much. I'll email you, Nick, or I'll try to put it in the chat. But it is KEN@JACOBSCOMM.com. Let me say thank you again. And until next time, keep on taking the lead. Thanks.